16. And after these four categories have been carefully explained to you, these four categories of understanding, material, inherent quality, abstract quality, and essence. Essence is utterly incomprehensible. And in understanding the third category, the possibility of error, the first category or material and the second category or quality, clothed in material, are given to us by the Supreme Providence as clear and sufficient. The existence of the spiritual foundations, literally, bones, i.e., in the higher worlds of Asilet, Bria, Yetzra, Asiya. For thou wilt not find in them the slightest particular which is not divided according to these four categories. For if you take for example of some particularity of the world of Briha, there are vessels, i.e., red, through which the light passes to Bnei Habriya, i.e., literally, to the sons of creation, to the people, as already mentioned. So the vessel that is in the world of Bria, i.e., the red color, represents the stage of the material or foundation, literally, bone, i.e., the first category of comprehension. And although it is only a color, which is an event occurring to the maternal basis and the manifestation of its influence, nevertheless, we have already said that for us is not comprehensible the essence itself, but only the manifestation of the influence of the essence, and it is this we call the manifestation of the influence of the essence by the name, basis, literally, bone, or material, or guff, i.e., body, or vessel, as already mentioned, in v.13. And the divine light is clothed in red and passes through it. He represents the quality clothed in the maternal foundation, i.e., the second category of comprehension. For this reason the light itself manifests itself as a stage of the red light, which indicating its vesting in the material basis and luminescence through it, constituting stage of guff, i.e., the body, and the material, as already said, i.e., the color red. And if you nevertheless wish to consider the divine light, abstracting from the material basis, which is the color red, and you will consider him when he is in himself and not clothed in a material basis, then, after all, this is the third category of comprehension, i.e., the equality abstracted from the material, and the possibility of error is great, as it has already been said. For this reason it is strictly forbidden to attempt to comprehend him in the higher worlds, and no, a true Kabbalist does not do this, and all the more so especially the authors of the book of Zohar. Nor should one speak of the essence of this particular of the world of Bria, for it is for us utterly incomprehensible to us, even the essence of the material bones, much less the spiritual foundations, for this reason there are four categories. 1. The vessel of the world of Bria, which is essentially red, considered to be the bone or material basis of the world of Bria. 2. The vesting God's light into the vessel of the world of Bria, i.e., the quality inherent in the material basis. 3. God divine light when he is himself abstracted from the material basis of the world of Bria. 4. The essence of this particular. And And here is given a thorough explanation of the first limitation, according to which the two categories of comprehension, the third and the fourth, is not said. In the book of Zohar the first and the second concepts are not mentioned in the book of Zohar the first and second notions. 17. And at the same time it will be explained the second limitation. Know that just as we have explained the four categories inherent particulars of the world of Bria alone, so also in generalities are the same with the unification of the four worlds of Asilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. For the three colors red, green, and black, found in the three worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, are the stage of the material, or bone. And the white color, i.e., the stage of the world of Asilut, is the quality clothed in the material, i.e. in the three colors called Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya. And the stage of the infinite, when he is in himself, can be considered an essence. And we said when we talked about the first limitation, that the stage of essence is incomprehensible to us, and this fourth category, hidden in any material basis, and even in the bones, being in this world, as discussed in point 12. And the stage of the white color, when it is itself, and is not clothed in the three colors that are in the worlds. Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, i.e. the light of Chokmah, when it is not clothed in Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut, it is a quality, abstracted from the material, and we cannot deal with it, and about this category, the book of the Zohar does not speak at all, but it speaks only of the first category, i.e., the three colors of Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, characterized as material and representing the three spirit of Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut, and also the second category, representing the luminosity of the world of Asilut, clothed in the three colors Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, i.e. the light of Chokmah, clothed in Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut, which is a stage of quality when it is clothed in the material. With these two things the book of the Zohar always deals with. And so, if the reader is not careful and does not limit his thoughts and mind, and, whichever place of the book of Zohar, does not direct them to comprehend its words only within the two categories mentioned, he will immediately be completely confused, for he will misunderstand the meaning of these words. 18. And just as these four categories are explained for the association of the worlds, Asilut, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, the case is the same for any world without exception, and even for a small particle of any world, both for the Rosh world of Asilut as well as for the Soph of the world of Asiya. For in that particle has Chokmah and Bina, Tifereth and Malhut, as has already been said. And it turns out that Sphirat Ha-Homa is a stage of quality, and Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut is a stage of the material in which this quality is clothed in. That is, the first and second categories with which the book of the Zohar deals, but with Sphirat Ha-Homa, when it is diverted from Bina, Tiferet, and Malhut, i.e., with quality without material, the Zohar does not deal, much less with the essence, which is the stage of the infinite, encapsulated in this particle. Thus, before Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut, encapsulated in all the particles, and even in the particles of the world, Asalat, we care, as already stated. And as for Keter and Hakma of all of these particulars and even the particulars of Malhut Desaf, world, Asya, we do not care about these Binat themselves in their abstract consideration, but only insofar as they are clothed in Bina, Tefereth, and Malhut. Here is a thorough explanation of the first two limitations, that the authors of the book of Zohar dealt only with material, or with a quality clothed in material, and this is the first limitation, and also with the worlds of Bria, Yetzra, Asya, or with the glow of the world of Asalat in the worlds of Bria, Yetzra, Asya, and this is the second limitation. 19. Let us now explain the third limitation, which is that although the book of Zohar partially considers in every world without the step of the Spirit, which represents divinity shining in this very world, as well as all of the particular stages of Domem, inanimate, Samaya, vegetable, high, animal, and Madaber, speaking, representing creations found in this world. Nevertheless, the main purpose of this consideration, which is posited by the book of the Zohar, is only the step of Madaber in this same world. And I will give you an example of the way things are the case in this world. For it was explained above, in the preface to the book of the Zohar, n. 42, that the four categories of Domem, Samaya, High, Madaber, found in every world without exception, and even in this world, represent the four parts of the desire to receive, and in each of them, without exception, there are, in turn, these four categories of Domem, Samaya, High, Madaber. Look carefully at what it says. And you'll see that the man of this world must be nourished from all four stages of Domem, Sehamaya, High, Madaber that are in this world, and, spiritually, grow. For in the diet of man there are also these four stages, drawn from the stages of Domem, Samaya, High, Madaber, which are in the body, i.e., egoistic desire. Man, 1, he desires to receive only insofar as much as it is necessary to survive. 2, he wants to add beyond what is necessary to survive, and acquires an additional desire, but is confined to his bodily lusts. 3, seeks to satisfy human lusts such as fame and power. 4, strives for knowledge. And these aspirations are attracted by him in the four parts of his inherent desire to receive. He who desires the essentials for survival is the stage of Domem's desire to receive. He who desires the satisfaction of animal lusts is the stage of Samaya of the desire to receive. For they come only to exalt and enjoy his vessel, which is flesh and body. He who desires satisfaction of human lusts is the highest step is inherent in the desire to receive, for they exalt his spirit. He who desires knowledge is the stage of Madaber desire to receive. 20. And thou shalt see that behind a Aleph, representing the measure of desire for that which necessary for his survival, and behind a Beth, i.e., the measure of animal lust, exceeding the measure of what he needs to survive, receives and is nourished from the steps below them, i.e., from Domem, Samaya, and High. But behind a Gimel, which represents the lusts of men, such as power and glory, receives and feeds on representatives of the same species as her. And behind a Dalet, whose food is knowledge, receives and feeds from a stage supreme in relation to her, i.e., from the material, base, literally, from the bone, Hakma, i.e., wisdom, and cycle, i.e., mind, which are the spiritual steps. 21. And in the same way you must understand the disposition of the higher, spiritual worlds. For the worlds are imprints of each other, the lowest the imprint of the highest, and all the steps of Domem, Samaya, High, and Madaber of the world of Bria are imprinted in the world of Yetzirah, and from the steps of Domem, Samaya, High, and Madaber of the world of Yetzirah are imprinted steps, Domem, Samaya, High, and Madaber of the world of Asiya. And from the steps of Domem, Samaya, High, and Madaber of Asiya are imprinted. Asiya are imprinted by the steps of Domem, Samaya, High, and Madaber of this world. And it was explained above, in the preface to the book of the Zohar, p.42, that Domemim in the spiritual worlds are called by the name of Haikalat, i.e., the palaces, the chambers, and Samaya is called there by the name of Lavashim, i.e., garments, and High is called Malakim, i.e., angels, and Madaber is a stage of the souls. Of the human souls who are in the corresponding world, and the 10 Sfirat that are in each worlds, represent godness. Look carefully at what it says. And the souls of human beings are the center of each world, and it is nourished from all the spiritual that is in the same world, just as the Madaber, i.e., speaker, of the maternal world, is nourished by all material things that are in this world, thus in such a way that the Behinah Aleph, representing the desire to receive that which is necessary for his survival, derives from the glow of the Haikalat and Lavashim who are there, and Behinah Beth is additional, animal, lusts, exalting his body, and she receives from the Malakim stage, who are there. See also Tikkunei Zohar, Tikkun 69, sheet 105, line 32, and representing the glow of the spiritual nature, the measure of which exceeds what he needs for its survival to exalt the spiritual vessels in which his soul is clothed, for Behinah Aleph and Behinah Beth receive from the steps lower than they are, namely, from Haikalat, Lavashim and Malakim, who are there and situated below the souls of the sons of Adam. And Behinah Gimel, which represents the human lusts, exalting the spirit, in Hebrew, Ruah, of man, receive in this world from representatives of his kind. Hence there, i.e., in one of the spiritual worlds, he also receives from representatives of his kind, namely, from all the souls who are in the same world, for with their help he magnifies the glow of Ruah of his soul. And in the Behinah Dalet of this desire, representing the desire for knowledge, he receives from the Spirit, which are in the same world, for from them receives Behinah Dalet of his soul. For the soul of man, being in every world without exception, must be exalted and perfected by with the help of all the steps that are in the same world. And therein lies the third limitation of which we have spoken, and we should know that all words of the book of the Zohar about each and every particular of the higher worlds considered by it, speak of both the Sphirot and the souls, the Malachim, the Levushim, and Haikalat, and though she considers these objects, when they are in themselves, nevertheless, the reader should always understand that these words speak mainly of the measure which stage of the human soul therein receives from them and absorbs from them. Thus, all the main words are devoted to the needs of the souls. And if you comprehend everything according to these, the precepts, you will find understanding and success in your paths. 22. And after all this we are left with to explain all these properties of the material nature that are mentioned when the book of the Zohar characterizes the 10 Sphirot, such as top and bottom, ascending and descending, diminishing and the expansion, Katnut, i.e., childhood, and Gadlut, i.e., adulthood, separation, and Zivug, i.e., conjunction, particularly conjugal conjunction, as well as numerical values and the like. These the lower attributes, the 10 Sphirot give to the 10 Sphirot by their good or evil deeds. For these words, on the at first glance, cause one to wonder, can God himself can be influenced and divinity itself can succumb and undergo such changes because of the inferior ones? And even if you are found and say that these words do not speak of God himself, God forbid, clothed in the Sphirot and shining in, but only the vessels of those Sphirot, which are not God's divinity, but created for the first time at the creation of souls in order to conceal or reveal those or other comprehensions insofar as it is souls need in order to bring them to the desired complete correction. It is written above, in clause 7, where a comparison with a window is given, consisting of colored panes of 4 colors, white, red, green, and black, and about the white background on the pages of the book and of the material basis conveyed by the letters of the book, for, perhaps, it concerns the 3 worlds Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, where the created spirit vessels for the first time and there is no godness, then. Such an understanding is not at all justified for the world of Asilut, where the vessels of the 10 Sphirot also represent the absolute Godhood on the same level as godliness. God's light that exists in them, as it is said in Tikkunei, Zohar, he and his life, and the bones of his are one in nature. He means the essence of the Sphirot, i.e., that is the meaning of the infinite. The meaning of the words, his life, is the light shining in these Sphirot and called by the name of Or HaHaya, i.e., the light of life, for the whole world of Asilut is the Hokmah stage, and the light of Hokmah is called the light of life, and so he says, his life. And the bones of his means the vessels of these Sphirot. For all of this is absolute godness and is in complete unity. And if so, how is it possible to understand those above-mentioned changes that the lower ones cause there? And at the same time, it is necessary to understand If everything in that world is godness and there is nothing from that world, reality, and there is nothing from the stage of the of creatures created for the first time, then how is it possible to distinguish between the three stages of which told in Tikkun Zohar his life and his bones? How is it that the three stages are differentiated? Are they not in a simple and absolute unity? 23. And to make sense of it, you need, that thou mayest remember what was explained above in v.17, for it is explained that the basis, literally, bone, of the Eternal One means an essence which to us for we are incomprehensible, even with respect to material essences and even our own essence, and much less the pre-runner. And the world of Aselet means quality, and the three worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya mean maternal, and the luminescence of the world of Aselet in the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya means the quality clothed in the material. And from this you should understand that the name infinite, which we mentioned, is not at all the name of the essence of the infinite, and is exalted, for how is it possible to define by a name or a word by any incomprehensible object? Since neither perception nor the five senses have offered us no essence, even in the material world, how can you think or say, even, a word about it, much less about the Eternal One Himself? But we need to understand the name of the infinite, within the limits given to us. The third limitation, in everything that is said in Book of the Zohar, the emphasis is precisely on the relation to souls, which has already been mentioned in clause 21, and thus the name infinite, therefore, does not at all speak of the infinite one, when he is in himself, but only that all worlds and all souls are contained in him, refers to the design of creation, which is at the step of, the end of the deed first exists in the design. Quote from Lek Dodi, that intent represents the connection by which all of creation as a whole to the end of correction is bound to him, who has the name of the infinite. And this is what the name we have given above, in the preface to the Book of Zohar, N. 13, is situation 1, referring to the situation in which the souls, are found. More precisely, in the preface to the Book of Zohar, v.13, refers to this situation, but the definition of the first situation is defined in 14, that is, all souls are inseparable from existence in him, when they are filled with all the most sublime delights and abundance that they will receive in the end of corrections. Look carefully what is written there, for it will not be repeated twice.